The HOA tried to steal my driveway and demanded $15,000 in fines. They said I was illegally using their land. Big mistake. I researched every property law, got my permits, and built a mini moat with an automatic bridge. It's 100% legal, and now they can't touch my property. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The certified letter arrived on a Friday morning, and I knew my life was about to get complicated. The return address read Pinecrest Manor Homeowners Association, in bold, threatening letters that seemed to mock me through the envelope. Notice of easement claim, immediate response required. My name is Jake Morrison, and I'm a 45-year-old software engineer who thought buying a house in a quiet suburb would be the most peaceful decision of my life. I was wrong. I ripped open the envelope with trembling fingers, my coffee growing cold as I read the impossible words inside. The HOA was claiming that my driveway, the concrete path I'd been using for 3 years, was actually an illegal encroachment on community property. They demanded I remove it within 30 days and pay $15,000 in restoration fees. My driveway. The driveway that came with the house when I bought it. The driveway that was clearly marked on every property survey, deed, and municipal record. I stood there in my kitchen, staring at the letter while my brain tried to process this insanity. Through the window I could see my driveway, 20 feet of ordinary concrete leading from the street to my garage. It looked exactly the same as every other driveway in the neighborhood. But apparently, according to the HOA, it was stealing their land. The letter was signed by Victoria Pemberton, HOA president, a woman I'd met exactly once at a neighborhood barbecue. She'd struck me as the type of person who measures grass height with a ruler and reports Christmas decorations that stay up past New Year's Day. I grabbed my phone and called the HOA office immediately. Pinecrest Manor HOA, this is Cheryl speaking. This is Jake Morrison on Maple Street. I just received a letter claiming my driveway is illegal. This has to be some kind of mistake. Hold please, let me transfer you to Mrs. Pemberton. After 5 minutes of elevator music, Victoria's voice came on the line, crisp and cold. Mr. Morrison, I trust you received our correspondence regarding the easement violation. Easement violation? This is my driveway. It's been here since before I bought the house. According to our recent property survey, your driveway extends 18 inches beyond your property line onto community-owned easement space. This is a clear violation of community covenants. That's impossible. I have the original surveys. My driveway is completely on my property. I'm afraid our certified surveyor disagrees. The easement area is designated for community use only. Your concrete structure must be removed immediately. My heart was pounding. Community use? It's a strip of land between my property and the street. Nobody uses it for anything. The intended use is irrelevant. Encroachment is encroachment. You have 30 days to comply or face legal action. She hung up before I could respond. I spent the weekend poring over every document related to my house purchase. Property deeds, surveys, municipal records, mortgage papers. Everything clearly showed my driveway was within my property boundaries. There was no easement marked anywhere. Monday morning, I took a personal day and drove to the county recorder's office. After 3 hours of research, I had copies of every property record dating back 40 years. My driveway had always been exactly where it was. No easement. No encroachment. No violation. But I also discovered something interesting. 6 months ago, the HOA had quietly purchased a small strip of land from the county. Land that included the area where all the driveways connected to the street. They'd essentially bought the public right-of-way and were now claiming private ownership. This wasn't about my driveway. This was about control. I hired a property lawyer, spending $5,000 I couldn't afford for a consultation. Attorney Sarah Kim reviewed all my documents and shook her head in amazement. Mr. Morrison, you're absolutely right. Your driveway is entirely on your property. But here's the problem. The HOA's claim isn't technically about your property line. They're claiming ownership of what used to be public easement space. Can they do that? It's legally complicated. They did purchase the land from the county, though the sale itself seems questionable. Fighting this could cost you $50,000 in legal fees, and there's no guarantee of winning. So they can just steal my driveway? Not steal exactly. But they can make your life very expensive and difficult. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Victoria Pemberton and her smug voice, about the injustice of someone trying to take away something that was clearly mine. But I also kept thinking about the $50,000 in legal fees I couldn't afford. By Tuesday I had a different plan. If the HOA wanted to play property games, I'd play property games. but I'd play to win. I spent the next week researching every property law, zoning regulation, and municipal code I could find. I studied water rights, drainage laws, and construction permits. I learned about setbacks, easements, and boundary disputes. And I discovered something beautiful. If the HOA now owned the strip of land between my property and the street, that made it private property. And private property could be developed, with proper permits. More importantly, I found out that my city had very specific laws about water management and drainage. Property owners were required to manage stormwater runoff to prevent flooding. And if natural drainage patterns were disrupted, property owners had the right to create engineered solutions to redirect water flow. The plan started forming in my mind like a beautiful, terrible flower. On Wednesday, I submitted applications for 3 different permits: a landscaping permit, a drainage management permit, and a water feature installation permit. Each application was meticulously prepared with professional drawings and engineering specifications. I was going to build a moat. Not a medieval castle moat, obviously. A decorative water feature with integrated drainage management system and automated access bridge. Completely legal, properly permitted, and absolutely impossible to stop. The moat would run along the property line where the HOA claimed ownership, creating a clear physical boundary between my land and their easement. The automated bridge would retract when not in use, making it impossible for anyone to access my driveway without my permission. If they wanted to claim ownership of the land around my driveway, they could enjoy their new waterfront property. I hired a contractor, my neighbor Bob, who ran a small landscaping business and was furious about the HOA's power grab. Bob had been fighting them for months over his garden gnomes, which Victoria had declared aesthetically incompatible with community standards. "Jake," Bob said, studying my plans, "this is either genius or insane. Maybe both. Can you build it?" "Hell yes, I can build it. And I'll enjoy every minute." We started construction on a Monday morning. The moat would be 3 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and lined with waterproof concrete. A small recirculating pump would keep the water moving to prevent stagnation. The bridge was a retractable steel platform operated by a garage door opener. Press a button, and it would extend across the moat to create access to my driveway. By Tuesday afternoon, Victoria Pemberton was standing in my yard, her face red with rage. "What is this monstrosity?" she demanded. "It's a decorative water feature with drainage management capabilities," I replied calmly. "All properly permitted. You cannot dig a ditch around your property." "Actually, I can. It's called water management, and it's required by city code to prevent flooding. Since you now own the easement area, I need to ensure proper drainage between our properties." "This is ridiculous. You're building a moat." "I prefer to call it an integrated water management and access control system. And it's 100% legal." She stormed off, but I knew she'd be back. The next morning, I found a cease and desist order taped to my door. The HOA was demanding I stop all construction immediately. I called my lawyer. "Sarah, they're trying to stop my water feature project. Do you have all the proper permits?" "Every single one. Filed with the city, approved by the engineering department, and inspected by code enforcement." "Then they can't touch you. Keep building." By Wednesday, the moat was taking shape. Word had spread through the neighborhood, and I had a steady stream of visitors coming to see the driveway moat. Most of them were laughing and cheering me on. A few were recording videos for social media. Mrs. Patterson from across the street brought me lemonade. "Jake, this is the most entertainment we've had in years. Victoria's been terrorizing this neighborhood for too long." The Johnson family stopped by with their kids, who were fascinated by the construction. "Mr. Morrison," 8-year-old Emma asked, "are you building a castle?" "Sort of," I replied. "I'm building a way to protect my driveway from dragons." Thursday morning brought a city inspector, summoned by the HOA to shut down my project. Inspector Rodriguez walked around the construction site with his clipboard, checking measurements and reviewing permits. "Everything looks good, Mr. Morrison. Your permits are in order, and the construction meets all safety codes. Nice work on the drainage calculations." "Thank you. I did my research. I heard about your situation with the HOA. Between you and me, this is the most creative solution to a property dispute I've ever seen." Friday brought the final piece of the puzzle, the automated bridge. Bob and I installed the retractable platform system, connecting it to a garage door opener mounted in my garage. With the press of a button, the steel bridge would extend across the moat, creating access to my driveway. Another button press would retract it, leaving a 3-foot gap that nobody could cross without getting wet. The system worked perfectly. Saturday morning, I stood in my driveway, coffee in hand, admiring our work. The moat ran along the exact property line, clearly marking the boundary between my land and the HOA's claimed easement. The water was crystal clear, with small LED lights creating a gentle glow at night. The bridge extended smoothly across the gap, then retracted just as smoothly. It was beautiful, functional, and completely legal. Victoria Pemberton arrived at 9 a.m. sharp, flanked by 2 other HOA board members I didn't recognize. "Mr. Morrison, this has gone too far. You cannot prevent access to community property with this ridiculous water feature." "I'm not preventing access to anything," I replied. "You're welcome to enjoy your easement property on the other side of the moat. But if you want to access my driveway, you'll need my permission." "This is harassment." "No, Victoria, this is property rights. You claimed ownership of the land around my driveway. Congratulations, you now own waterfront property. Enjoy it." She was practically vibrating with anger. "The HOA will take legal action." "On what grounds?" "Everything I've built is properly permitted and completely legal. I'm managing stormwater drainage exactly as required by city code." "You're being deliberately obstinate." "I'm protecting my property from people who tried to steal my driveway." That afternoon, I received a phone call from Victoria's lawyer, demanding I remove the moat immediately. "I'm sorry," I told him, "but I can't remove a legally required drainage management system. The city requires proper water management to prevent flooding. This isn't about drainage and you know it." "Actually, it is. I have the engineering reports to prove it. The water feature prevents runoff from flowing onto the HOA's easement property, which protects them from liability." There was a long pause. "We'll be in touch." They weren't in touch for 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, my moat became a neighborhood sensation. People would walk by just to see the driveway moat, and many stopped to ask about my battle with the HOA. I learned that Victoria had been terrorizing residents for years with frivolous violations and expensive fines. The Hendersons had been fined $500 for parking their RV in their own driveway. The Garcias received violations for their children's sidewalk chalk art. The elderly Mr. Chen was threatened with legal action because his mailbox was painted the wrong shade of black. My moat had become a symbol of resistance against HOA tyranny. The breakthrough came when Channel 7 News picked up the story. Reporter Jennifer Walsh interviewed me in my driveway, with the moat and retractable bridge prominently featured in the background. "So, Mr. Morrison, tell us about your unique solution to this HOA dispute." "Well, Jennifer, when the HOA claimed ownership of the land around my driveway, I realized I needed to protect my property rights. This water management system ensures proper drainage while clearly marking property boundaries." "And it's completely legal?" "Absolutely. I have permits from the city, approval from the engineering department, and regular inspections to ensure safety compliance." The story went viral. Within 24 hours, it had over 2 million views on social media. News outlets across the country picked it up. I received interview requests from 3 different morning shows. But the best part was the effect on the neighborhood. Suddenly, other residents started pushing back against HOA overreach. The Hendersons filed a formal complaint about their RV violation. The Garcias organized a sidewalk chalk art festival. Mr. Chin painted his mailbox bright red and dared the HOA to do something about it. Victoria Pemberton's reign of terror was crumbling and everyone knew it. The final blow came 3 weeks later, when I received a letter from the HOA's attorney. Not a threatening letter this time, a settlement offer. The HOA would withdraw their claim on my driveway if I agreed to remove the moat. I called my lawyer immediately. "Sarah, they want to settle." "That's great news. They're clearly worried about the negative publicity. But here's the thing, I don't want to remove the moat. I like it. It's beautiful, it manages drainage perfectly, and it keeps the HOA off my property." "You want to keep your moat?" "I want to keep my moat." I drafted a counteroffer. The HOA would formally acknowledge that my driveway was entirely on my property, withdraw all claims and fines, and agree never to challenge my water management system. In exchange, I would install a permanent decorative bridge that would remain extended, allowing normal access while maintaining the boundary marker. They accepted immediately. 2 months later, I stood in my backyard, watching the sunset reflect off the moat's calm surface. The permanent bridge was beautiful, decorative stonework that complemented the water feature perfectly. Neighbors stopped by regularly to admire the driveway moat, and several had asked Bob to install similar water features in their yards. Victoria Pemberton had resigned as HOA president after the news coverage, citing personal reasons. The new board was focused on actual community improvements rather than petty enforcement. My moat had become a neighborhood landmark, featured on home tours and real estate listings. Property values in the area had actually increased, with buyers specifically asking about the house with the moat. But the best part was the peace of mind. Every morning I'd have my coffee on the back patio, listening to the gentle sound of water flowing through my perfectly legal, properly permitted, absolutely beautiful moat. The HOA had tried to steal my driveway thinking they could bully me into submission. Instead, they'd created a monster, a software engineer with too much time, too much research capability, and a deep understanding of permit applications. They'd learned an important lesson. Sometimes the best defense is a good moat. My driveway was safe, my property rights were protected, and I had the coolest house in the neighborhood. The bridge worked perfectly, the drainage was flawless, and every city inspection passed with flying colors. As I sat there watching the sunset, I thought about all the homeowners dealing with HOA tyranny across the country. Maybe they couldn't all build moats, but they could all fight back. Sometimes you just need to get creative with the rules. The moat wasn't just about my driveway anymore. It was proof that determined homeowners could outsmart power-hungry HOA boards, that careful research could overcome legal bullying, and that sometimes the most ridiculous solution is also the most effective. I raised my coffee cup in a toast to the setting sun, to my beautiful moat, and to the sweet taste of perfectly legal revenge. The HOA had tried to steal my driveway. Instead, they'd given me the best home improvement project of my life.